Hi, Helen from crystalsandcrochet.com here, and welcome to part 3 of the Sacred Space Crochet Along. In this part we are going to be working rounds 46 through to 55. So from this section here through and up into the points. Okay, have fun. Round 46. We're going to join with a standing single crochet in the 5th single crochet before any point group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Three, which leaves us 1 single crochet there. We're going to skip that stitch, and then we are going to front loop treble in the next 6. Okay, so we're making the first part of folding single crochets, which comes in the next round. Okay, so when you're making the front loop stitches, make sure that you go up from the bottom to the top. That way you don't twist the stitch. So that's 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now don't worry if these sort of seem to pull up, because when we make the next round and we fold them over, it sort of pushes everything back down. Okay, in the next stitch, which is your front post treble, you're going to make 5 all in that stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now it is a good idea, just grab a stitch marker. It's a good idea to put a marker in the back loop of that stitch. Okay, because when we come to do the next round, those 5 stitches will all need to be made into that same back loop. Okay, so it's just helpful if you pop a stitch marker there for the next round. Okay, we're then going to front loop treble in the next 6 stitches. So that's into the 5 double crochet and the front post double at the bottom of the point. That's number 5 and number 6. Okay, so we've got 6 front loop trebles, 5 front loop trebles all made into the same front loop of that front post treble, and then another 6 front loop trebles. We are then going to skip the next stitch, which is this first single crochet, and we are going to single crochet in 6, 2 single crochet in the next, so 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, 2 in the next stitch, and we're going to do that twice, so another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 in the next one, and then single crochet in the next 6. Okay, which leaves you 1 single crochet there, which you're going to skip before you start the next repeat. Okay, so there's your repeat. Front loop trebles around the point, skip 1 stitch, and then 6, 2, 6, 2 and 6 with your single crochet. Okay, so go ahead and do that 12 times in total. Omit those last 4 single crochets and join to that single crochet with a slip stitch. Round 47, we are going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same stitch, and then single crochet in the next 3. Okay, and then our repeat starts. So when you're working a folding single crochet, you're going to work into the back loop of the treble and then into the corresponding back loop down here. So there's our treble. Okay, so you can clearly see the back loop there, that treble sits in the front loop of. So that's where we're going to work. So we're going to go through the back loop. Oh, by the way, don't cut your yarn off and join like I did, forgetting that I had to carry on with the same colour. But anyway, through the back loop of the treble, through the back loop of the stitch that the treble was made into, yarn over and pull through both of those loops, and then yarn over and pull through to make your single crochet. Okay, so through the back loop, through the corresponding back loop below, pull through, make your single. Okay, so you're going to do that 6 times. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Okay, so what have we done? 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so 6 takes us to that last back loop before the one where we put our marker. So we know we've got our stitches in line and they've folded over properly there. Okay, so the pattern then says 5 folding single crochet in the next stitch of round 45. So this is the stitch of round 45. So we are going to make all 5 of these front loop trebles fold down into that same stitch. Okay, so through the back loop and through the back loop, 1, 2, 3, and you place the marker into that third stitch, and then we need to do the next 2. So that's number 4 and number 5, and you will find that you need to sort of keep tilting your work back and forth so that you can see where you're going. We're then going to do folding single crochet in the next 6 stitches, so through the back loop, and there's the one that we've made. Let me zoom in. That's the one there, so it's this next one here that we've got to make sure that we get into that one so that we don't skip any stitches. Oops, sorry, wrong way. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so we've folded all of those stitches over, and we are then going to single crochet in the next 22 stitches. So we're going to go all the way across all of the single crochets that we made in that previous round. Okay, so it's a fairly simple repeat. It's just making sure that you get that point absolutely right and that you are working the folding single crochet through the back loop of the treble and the back loop of the stitch that the treble was made into. Nearly there. That's 21, 22. Okay, so that's our repeat to make this point with our folding single crochet. So it's 6, 5 all into the top one, and place your marker into the third one, and then 6 more coming down, and then 22 single crochet going across. Okay, 12 times all the way round to the beginning. Join to that first single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Round 48, we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the 4th single before any point group. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll make a standing single crochet in there, and single crochet in the next stitch. We're going to skip those next 2 stitches, and then we are going to make a bead stitch in the next stitch and then skip the next stitch. So to make a bead stitch, we first of all, and remember you're working into your folding single crochets here, so if you just sort of press down on those trebles to keep them out the way, make sure you don't catch any of the front loops of those. Okay, so bead stitch. We make a double crochet and then just turn your work very slightly, yarn over, round, pull up a loop, yarn over, round, pull up a loop, yarn over, round, pull up a loop. So it's a little bit like a puff stitch made around the post of the double crochet. Yarn over and pull through, but allow this to be slightly loose. Okay, don't pull it tight. Excuse me. Skip the next stitch, bead stitch in the next stitch. So we make a double crochet, yarn over, 1, 2 and 3. Pull through all of the loops. Skip the next stitch, another bead stitch. Oops. Got my yarn in a tangle. Okay, so 3 times yarn over and around the post and pull through. Skip the next stitch, bead stitch in the next stitch. Okay, so let me zoom in. You will see the top of each bead stitch has got 2 sets of top loops. That first one is the double crochet and the second one is the puff stitch that you make around. So that's why it actually fits perfectly when you make your bead stitch and you skip the next stitch, because you've still got 2 stitches for every 2 here. Okay, let's come back out a bit more. There we go. Okay, so we've bead stitch, skip the next stitch 4 times. Then in our marked stitch, we are going to bead stitch, chain 2, bead stitch. Okay, so again, remember, don't pull this tight, leave it nice and loose, and then into that marked stitch we're going to make a bead stitch, 1, 2 and 3. Now when you chain 2, again, don't pull that tight, leave that loop quite long and loose. Okay, and then bead stitch again. Let's take that marker out of the way. Oops. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, and then coming down the other side, we are going to skip the next stitch and then bead stitch in the next one. Two and 3, and we are going to do that 4 times. And 1, 2 and 3. And last one. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so we've now got 5 bead stitch each side. I'll lay it down flat, you can maybe see 5 bead stitch each side with a chain 2 space at the top. Okay, so we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, so that's those first 2 single crochets and then single crochet in the next 18. Okay, so as we're continuing with part 3, we are starting to build points. Oops. So gradually these single crochet areas will get less and less stitches in them as the points become bigger and bigger. Okay, just a few more. Where are we at? 16, 17 and 18. Okay. Okay, so there's our repeat. So skip the 2 stitches before the point, and then in that first stitch, bead stitch, skip 4 times. In the marked stitch, bead stitch, chain 2, bead stitch, and just remember not to pull too tightly so it looks as if that third loop to the stitch is right way down towards the bottom, and that keeps your bead stitches nice and sort of fat and square looking. Okay, then we've got another 4 skip a stitch then bead stitch coming down, skip those 2 at the bottom, and then 18 single crochet across. Go ahead and do that 12 times, and when you come all the way round, join to the standing single crochet, fasten off and secure the ends. Round 49, there's a hint before we start to take note that each bead stitch has 2 sets of top loops to work into. So as I said, as we were making the last round, there's the top loops from the double crochet and the top loops from the sort of puff stitch that we make around. Okay, so we're going to start by joining with a standing single crochet in the 5th single before any point group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then single in the next 2 stitches. Okay, so we've then got 2 single crochets left to work into, or to skip in this case. Okay, so now we start our repeat, and we are going to skip those 2 stitches, and we're then going to make 2 double crochet in the next stitch, and then double crochet in the next 9. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so the 8th and 9th stitches come in that last bead stitch before the chain 2 space. In that chain 2 point space we are going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. Okay, so this is actually an incredibly simple round. And 2. Okay, so 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. And then we're going to come down the other side of the point by making a double crochet in the next 9. So make sure that you don't skip that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, oops, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so now we've got one set of top loops left on that last bead stitch. We're going to make 2 double crochet in there. Oh, we've got a little knot. There we go. And then we're going to skip the next 2 stitches and single crochet in 14. Okay, so as I said, it's a really nice simple repeat. Your chain 2 point spaces are very obvious, so you don't really need to use stitch markers in them. All you need to do is make sure that your stitch count is correct, that you've got a total of 26 double crochet, so it's 13 each side. So you start with 2, then 9, and then you've got 2 in the corner on each side. Okay, and also make sure that you have 14 single crochet coming across, so that should be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Okay, so there is our repeat for round 49. Okay, so go ahead 12 times, omit your last 3 single crochet, join to that standing single crochet with a slip stitch. Moving on to round 50, let's get everything in the right place. We are going to chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch. Okay, we're then going to skip the next stitch here, and we're going to double crochet in the next stitch, which is that last single, chain 1, skip a stitch, and we're going to do this 7 times. Okay, so double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, chain 1, okay, chain 1. So let's make sure we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times we've done that. Okay, so we skip this last stitch before the point space, then in the point space we're going to do double crochet, chain 2, double crochet, and then we're going to basically just mirror this coming down the other side. So we're going to chain 1, skip that next stitch, double crochet in the next one, and we're doing this 7 times again. So chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Okay, chain 1, skip 1, double, chain 1, skip 1, double, Okay, so the last double that you make goes into the first single crochet there, so that it matches exactly with the other side. We're then going to skip a stitch and we're going to single crochet in 10. Okay, so again it's a really nice sort of simple easy repeat for this round, just making sure that you get your double crochets in the right stitches so that your point sits correctly. How many have I done there? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Okay. So make sure, I'll put my hand behind it, you can see it a little bit more clearly. Make sure that your first double sits in the last single there, and then when you come over to this side, your last double sits in the first single. Okay, so you've got the last stitch and the first stitch is skipped, and then you're coming down alternating either side as you come down. Okay, so 12 times, join to that first single crochet that we made, fasten off and secure your ends, and I will see you for the next round. Round 51, we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the last single of any repeat. So it's that last one before the first double. Okay, right, here we go. Okay, so we are now going to do this 7 times. Okay, back post single around the double, and then double treble, working in front of this chain 1 space, double treble into the skipped stitch from round 49. So 3 times over into the skipped stitch, making sure that you pull that chain space back, and then 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, back post single, double treble into the skipped stitch. Okay, so very much like we did back in part 1. Okay, we are going to do that 7 times. So there's 1, 2, this is number 3. Okay, so that's 7 times. Then we're going to back post single around that last double crochet before the chain 2 space. Okay, now working in front of the chain 2, we're going to make a double treble into the chain 2 point space from round 49. Okay, so we're now working on 51. This was round 50, this one's round 49, so we're going to come down into that chain 2 space, making sure that you're working in front of that chain space. We're then going to make 3 single crochet into our chain 2 space, and then we're going to make another double treble into this same space down here. This one's a little bit trickier to make sure that you get in front of that chain 2 space, so it takes a little bit of jiggling with your hook to get around there. Okay, and then we're going to work down this side exactly the same, back post single around that next stitch, double treble into the skip stitch, and you will need to just sort of pull this over a little bit so that you can see that first stitch quite clearly. Okay, so keep going all the way down to the bottom here. Okay, so we've done back post single round the next stitch, double treble into the skip stitch round 49, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and we are then going to back post single around that last double crochet, and then single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Okay, so that's the last double crochet, so this one is the first single. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, so you're going to make a single crochet into each of the singles from the previous round. Okay, and that's our repeat. Okay, so you've done these stitches before when we did this part down here. Okay, so it's a similar thing to that. So just make sure that you've got your 10 singles here and that you don't skip that last back post single around the last double, and that you're right on your point where you go into the chain 2 space below, 3 single crochet between, and if you want to just pop a marker in that second single crochet in the point, because it will make it easier to identify that point single crochet for the next round. Okay, so go ahead and do that 12 times and join to your standing single crochet, fasten off and secure your ends. Okay, round 52 we're going to join with a standing single crochet in the 6th single of any repeat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to skip 2, and then in that last single crochet we are going to make 2 double crochet. Okay, 1 and oops, 2. Okay, and now we're going to double crochet in the next 17 stitches. We've got 1, 2, 3, 15, 16 and 17 is the first of the 3 singles that we made into that chain 2 space. Okay, so our next stitch is the one with the marker in it, and in that marked stitch, the point single, you're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. 2 double crochet, and because we're working into a point stitch rather than a point space, that next stitch doesn't really become hidden. You only tend to get hidden stitches when you've got chain spaces but even so, remember that that third single is the first stitch you're going to work into as you come down the other side. Now you need to pop a stitch marker into that chain 2 space, and you are not going to remove it until after round 56. So this is where in the intro post I told you you are going to need 24 stitch markers. These are going to stay in here, and in another couple of rounds we're also going to use stitch markers that need to stay in place. It's just to make it easier for you when we get even further along. Okay, so make sure you put that stitch marker in and do not take it out. Double crochet in the next 17. 2 and 3, 16 and 17 goes into the last back post single that we did. Then we've got 2 double crochet in the next stitch, and then we are going to skip the next 2 stitches and single crochet in 4. Okay, so we've got 3 single crochet left at the end there. Okay, so there is our repeat. 2 double crochet in the last and first singles, and then a double crochet in each stitch coming up, 17 on each side, and then in the point single crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, put your stitch marker in that chain 2 space and do not take them out until I tell you to later. Okay, so 12 times all the way round. When you get round to the standing single crochet, join with a slip stitch. Okay, on to round 53. We're going to chain 1, single crochet in the same stitch, skip the next stitch, then we're going to make 2 double crochet in the next stitch, which is the first double, and we're then going to double crochet in the next 20, 2, 3, so that's 17, 18, 19 and 20 will go into the last stitch before the chain 2 space. Okay, then in your chain 2 point space it's 2 double crochet, chain 2. Now remember, we need to leave these stitch markers in this chain 2 space, so make your second 2 double crochet the other side of the stitch marker. Okay, so you've left the stitch marker in the middle of those 2 chain 2, 2. Okay, and then make sure that you don't skip that first hidden stitch, and we're going to go all the way down another 20 double crochet, so 1 in each stitch all the way down. (17, 18, 19 and 20, and then 2 double crochet in that last double, skip the next stitch and then single crochet in the next 2. Okay, so that's our repeat, another really nice simple one this time round. So you'll have 2 single crochet, oops, I'll pop my hook back in before I lose it, 2 double crochet between each point, and then you've got 2, 20, 2, chain 2, 2 in your point, and remember that you're leaving that stitch marker in place, 20 coming down with 2 in the last double crochet, skip 1, 2 single crochet. Okay, so go ahead all the way round, so it's 12 times in total. I'm at that last single crochet that you've already made, join to that first one, fasten off and secure your ends. Round 54, we're going to join with a standing half double crochet in any chain 2 point space. Okay, as a standing half double, then we're going to chain 2 and make another half double in that same space. Okay, so each of your points are half double, chain 2, half double. Okay, now we're going to start the repeat. Now you will notice in the pattern that there's repeats within repeats. So where the bold purple parentheses are, that's where the full repeat starts and then finishes. Okay, so first of all, we are going to make 2 back post double crochet around the next 2 stitches together. So let's zoom in a weeny bit so that you can see. Okay, so you're going to put your hook, yarn over first, put your hook around 2 posts. Okay, so you've got 2 posts there, and you're going to make that double crochet around both of those stitches together. Now don't pull too tight here, because what you don't want to do is strangle the stitches. Okay, and make your normal double crochet. You're then going to make a second one around the same 2 stitches, but making sure you're underneath this first one. So yarn over, through 2 twice. Okay, so you've got 2 double crochet, and the second one is made below the first, and you'll notice that I've almost lifted that first stitch, because what you don't want to do is squash those stitches together too tightly. Okay, I'm going to zoom out now so that you can see me working. Okay, so around 2 stitches, 1, oops, and 2, around 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Okay, and you're going to do that 12 times. Okay, so that's 3. Okay, so we've made 2 double crochet, 2 back post double crochet around 2 stitches together 12 times. So you started with 24 double crochet, and you've now got 24 back post double crochet. So you've not increased or decreased the number of stitches at all. Okay, and always make the second one below the first one, and that's what then makes this next row sit nice and flat. Okay, we're going to single crochet in the next 2 stitches, which are our 2 single crochet at the bottom there, and then we're going to repeat this coming up the other side of the next point. So again, it's 2 back post double around the next 2 stitches together, making the second one below the first. Okay, so around 2 posts, 2 stitches. Okay, 12 times, and that will bring you all the way up to the top. I'll join you there. Okay, so again we've worked 2 back post doubles around 2 stitches together. So we had 24 doubles, we've now got 24 back post doubles. And then in the point it's half double crochet, chain 2 and half double crochet. Okay, and that is your complete repeat. So go ahead and do that 12 times, and then when you come back to the beginning you're going to omit the last point group, join to that standing half double crochet with a slip stitch. Okay, and on to round 55. This is the last round of part 3. So we're going to chain 1 and then single crochet in that same stitch, which is the standing half double. Okay, in the corner we are going to single crochet, chain 1, and then get yourself some stitch markers. Put the stitch marker in the chain 1 space before you make the second single crochet. Okay, it's much easier to make sure that you get that stitch marker right in, let me zoom in, right into the chain 1 space. Oops, hold on. Because if we lift that up, you can see there's a little bit coming down here at the back, and that's part of your single crochet. So it's much easier to put the stitch marker in, make the chain 1, stitch marker, make the single crochet, then it will be easy to work into that. This stitch marker needs to stay in place until after round 62. Okay, so you will now have 2 stitch markers on every point. Okay, let's come out so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we've got a really easy round. We are going to single crochet in the next 25 stitches, making sure that you don't skip this first half double. Let me zoom back in again. Okay, it's very easy to skip that first stitch, particularly where you've got a half double after any chain space. It's ever so easy to skip that. So make sure that you get into that very first stitch. Okay, oops, sorry, wrong way. Okay, so 1, 2, so basically you're going to come all the way down, a single crochet in each of the, in the half double that was in the corner, and in each of the back post doubles. That is your 25 stitches. It's just always down there. It's 23, 24 and 25. Okay, so your last single crochet is made in the last back post double. You are then going to single crochet 2 together over the next 2 stitches, so that's the 2 singles that are there. So hook through, pull up a loop, hook through the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Okay, again make sure you don't miss that first stitch as you work up. So you're going to go all the way up the other side, 25 single crochet. Okay, so that's our repeat finished. Last single crochet, number 25, goes into a half double. The 2 together goes into the 2 single crochet at the bottom, and make sure you don't forget that first stitch after your single chain 1 single point, and make sure that as you make your points you single crochet, chain 1, place the stitch marker in and single crochet again. Okay, but remember, don't skip that first half double. Okay, so go ahead 12 times, so you're going to work all the way round. When you come to this last bit, you omit that last single crochet, join there, fasten off, work away all of your ends. Please don't try to block your work at this point, because what you don't want to do is stretch any of this out of shape. Okay, so if you want to take nice photographs to share, just lay it on a flat surface and smooth out with your hands and take a photograph to share. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed part 3. So I will see you next time for part 4.